This is a very quick video describing an Arduino based DCC controlled servo controller. The idea being is to be as cheap as possible, and each servo will have a relay attached to it. So if you're using the servos for turnouts, you can use the relay for frog switching. If you're using it for signals, you can use the relay for LEDs or just changing state of a signal. So the idea was, apart from it being cheap, it has to be as simple to use as possible. So currently I've got it controlled from my DCC system. Now, to set it up, first off, we have a little control panel here which will be built into the main board. Now, to program the movement and the speed of each of the servos, hold down the left and right button, and when you release it, each servo will move to the center position. Then use the select button to cycle through each servo. So at the moment we're in programming mode, signified by the red light, and the first green light signifies this is servo number 1. So what we do first is control the left movement. So once we get to the position we want it to be in, we hit select again. That stores the left position. Now it swings to the right. We use the right button to move it to the right. Now if that's too far to the right, we can just use the left button to bring it back a little bit. And once we're happy with the right hand movement, we hit select to store. Now you can see it moved left then right there. What we do then is change the speed. So either hold down the left button, and every time the servo moves it gets slower and slower until we get to the slow speed that we want, or we hit the right button, and as we hold it down the servo gets faster and faster, and then we can let go when it gets to the speed we wish. And then once it's at that speed, we just hit select again. Now the red light starts to flash. That's asking us, do you want to store these settings? We hit right to save or left to abort, so let's hit right. Now that's saved. The green light for the servo went off, and if we hit select again, now we move on to servo number 2. So we can go through each of those individually, or if you want to skip a servo, hit this op button here, and we can cycle through each of the servos until we get to the end. Now the red light goes off, we're out of the programming mode. And again, for that servo, we've just reprogrammed. It moves left and right at the speed we programmed into it. Now, if we want to change address of each of the servos, we will have a little switch on the board. And what that does is allows us to program the address of each of the servos. So you can see here, the red light comes on again, we're in programming mode, and the green light signifies we're on servo number 1. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to address these 1, 2, 3 and 4. So servo number 1, hit address number 1 and send a DCC packet. That stores it. Now we're on to servo number 2. So 2, send a packet, 3, send a packet, and 4, send a packet. So now the red light is flashing. Now what that's actually doing is it won't allow us to accidentally reprogram a different address to any of the servos, and it also won't allow us to go into operation mode until we flick the switch back on the PCB. So now if I go back to control servo number 1, we've changed the address, and as it moves it changes the state of the relay as well. Servo number 2, servo number 3, and number 4.